can't stop
Ma'am,
me.
stop. You are not boarding this
I
aircraft.
paid for this ticket. Get out of my way.
That's it. You're under arrest for disorderly conduct and interference with airport operations. Turn around and put your hands behind your back.
What? Martinez, you good?
Got her. Cuffs.
Copy.
The airport terminal gleams under fluorescent lights, polished floors, soaring glass walls, the kind of public space designed for efficiency and order. But tonight, order is about to be shattered by a woman in designer sunglasses who believes rules are suggestions meant for other people. Officers Martinez and Chen have been called to Gate 14, where airport staff report an unruly passenger refusing to comply with boarding procedures and verbally abusing gate agents. The woman, let's call her Diane, stands near the desk with her arms crossed, radiating that particular brand of upper-middle-class fury that comes from a lifetime of getting her way through volume and indignation. She's the type who treats service workers like servants and believes that saying, "I want to speak to your manager," is a magic spell that bends reality to her will. What Diane doesn't realize yet is that Officer Martinez is not a gate agent. He's not customer service. He doesn't care about her status, her schedule, or her opinion of him. He has one job tonight: enforce the law and maintain order. And Diane is about to discover that when you refuse to follow rules in a secured area of an airport, friendly suggestions turn into lawful commands real fast. If you love watching entitled people crash headfirst into consequences they never saw coming, hit that subscribe button right now because this arrest is going to be absolutely spectacular. The incident began 30 minutes earlier when Diane arrived at the gate late. The flight was in final boarding. The gate agent, following standard protocol, had called her name multiple times over the PA system. When Diane finally appeared, rolling her designer luggage with the casual arrogance of someone who's never been told no, the agent informed her that her carry-on bag exceeded size limits and would need to be gate-checked. Standard procedure. Happens 1,000 times a day in airports across the country. But to Diane, this was a personal attack. She refused. "That bag cost more than you make in a month," she told the agent. "I'm not checking it." The agent, a young woman with infinite patience, explained that the overhead bins were full. Diane's options were simple: check the bag or don't board. Diane chose option 3, escalate into a full-blown tantrum. She demanded to speak to a supervisor. She threatened to call corporate. She announced loudly that she flies this airline every week and has elite status and knows the CEO personally. None of it mattered. The bag was too big. The rules applied to everyone, including her. That's when security was called. That's when Officers Martinez and Chen entered the story. And that's when Diane made the worst decision of her travel day. Officer Martinez approaches with the calm demeanor of someone who has handled 1,000 difficult people and will handle 1,000 more. "Ma'am," he says, "I need you to step over here with me so we can talk about what's happening." Diane doesn't move. She looks at him like he spoke a foreign language. "I'm not going anywhere until someone fixes this situation. I have a meeting tomorrow morning." "This is unacceptable." Officer Martinez nods patiently. "I understand you're frustrated, but right now I need you to step away from the desk so other passengers can board. We can sort this out, but you need to move." Diane's jaw sets. "I paid for this ticket. I have every right to be here." Officer Martinez's tone doesn't change, but something shifts in his body language. From request to instruction: "Ma'am, this is an active boarding gate in a secure area. You're disrupting operations. I'm asking you one more time to step over here." Diane finally moves, but only to get closer to his face. "Don't tell me what to do. I know my rights. You work for me. My taxes pay your salary." It's the ultimate Karen statement. The belief that public servants are personal employees. Officer Martinez's expression doesn't change. "No ma'am, I work for the public. And right now the public needs you to comply with lawful instructions." This is where Diane makes her first catastrophic miscalculation. She believes that because she's in an airport terminal, a public space where she purchased a ticket, she has some kind of ownership stake in the outcome of this interaction. But airport security zones are heavily regulated spaces where federal and local law enforcement have broad authority to maintain order and ensure safety. Diane's ticket doesn't give her the right to disrupt operations or refuse lawful orders from law enforcement. Officer Martinez explains this to her calmly. "Ma'am, you're in a secure area of the airport. TSA regulations and local ordinances give me the authority to remove anyone who disrupts operations or refuses to follow instructions. Right now you're doing both. You have two choices. Calm down, work with the gate agent to resolve your bag issue and board your flight. Or continue this behavior and be escorted out of the terminal. Diane's response is immediate and explosive. You can't kick me out. I have a ticket. I have rights. This is discrimination. Officer Martinez sighs. It's not discrimination to enforce rules equally. Every passenger has to follow the same baggage policies. Diane's voice rises to a near shriek. I want your badge number. I'm reporting you. I'm calling my lawyer. Officer Martinez pulls out a card with his information and hands it to her. Here, now are you going to comply or are we done here? Diane snatches the card and immediately pulls out her phone. She starts recording, holding it up in Officer Martinez's face. I'm recording this. You're harassing me.
I'm being
You're
attacked by
violating my
police for
rights.
trying to board a flight
Officer
I paid
Chen,
for.
who has
Ma'am,
been
lower
standing
your voice and
quietly
step back
nearby,
from my partner.
steps
Final
forward.
warning.
Ma'am, you're welcome to record, but you need to lower your voice and step back from my partner. Diane ignores him. She's in full performance mode now, narrating to her phone camera. I'm being attacked by police for trying to board a flight I paid for. This is what happens in America when you stand up for yourself. Officer Martinez remains stone-faced. Ma'am, final warning. Lower your voice, put the phone down, and we'll work through this. Or you're going to be cited for disorderly conduct and escorted from the terminal. Your choice. Diane makes her choice. She keeps recording, keeps yelling, and adds a new element. She starts walking toward the jetway, trying to force her way past the gate agent. I'm getting on my plane. You can't stop me. Officer Martinez moves quickly, positioning himself between Diane and the jetway entrance. Ma'am, stop. You are not boarding this aircraft. Diane tries to push past him. He catches her arm firmly. That's it. You're under arrest for disorderly conduct and interference with airport operations. Turn around and put your hands behind your back. The shock on Diane's face is almost cartoonish. What? You can't arrest me. I'm a passenger. Officer Martinez, still holding her arm, begins turning her around. Yes, ma'am, I can. And I am. Hands behind your back. Diane jerks away violently. Get your hands off me.
You're all gonna
Don't
lose your
touch
jobs.
me.
I'm
This is
suing the
assault.
airline. I'm
Officer
suing the
Chen
police
moves in
department.
to assist.
Ma'am, you have the right to
Between
remain
the two
silent.
of them,
I strongly
they guide
suggest
Diane's
exit.
arms behind her back despite her resistance. She's screaming now. Help. Someone help me. They're assaulting me. I'm being kidnapped. Other passengers at the gate are recording on their phones. Some look shocked. Others look satisfied, like they've been waiting for someone to shut her down. The gate agent, the young woman Diane berated minutes earlier, watches with an expression of profound relief. Officer Martinez gets one handcuff secured. Diane continues to pull and twist, making the process as difficult as possible. Ma'am, stop resisting. You're only making this worse. Diane responds by going completely limp, dropping her weight and forcing the officers to hold her up. It's passive resistance, a tactic designed to make the arrest look more violent than it is. Officer Chen keys his radio. We need airport police backup at gate 14. Female subject under arrest, actively resisting. Within 90 seconds, 2 additional airport police officers arrive. The cavalry has arrived, but they're not here to rescue Diane. They're here to help arrest her. With 4 officers now present, Diane is quickly secured in handcuffs despite her thrashing and screaming. She's placed in a sitting position on the floor near the gate desk while Officer Martinez retrieves her luggage and identification from where she dropped them during the struggle. He opens her wallet, finds her driver's license, and runs her information through the system on his portable device. Diane, still on the floor, is now crying. Huge, theatrical sobs punctuated by accusations. You're all going to lose your jobs. I'm suing the airline. I'm suing the police department. I'm suing all of you personally. My lawyer is going to destroy you. Officer Martinez, focused on his device, doesn't look up. Ma'am, you have the right to remain silent. I strongly suggest you exercise that right. But Diane cannot stop talking. It's like a compulsion. She cycles through every manipulation tactic in the book. Threats, tears, attempts at bargaining. If you let me go right now, I won't press charges. I'll forget this whole thing happened. Officer Chen, standing guard nearby, shakes his head. Ma'am, you're not pressing charges. You're being charged. There's a difference. The system check comes back. No warrants, no prior arrests. This appears to be Diane's first encounter with the criminal justice system. That's about to change dramatically. Officer Martinez squats down to Diane's level to explain what happens next. Ma'am, you're being charged with disorderly conduct and interference with airport operations. You're going to be transported to the airport police station for booking. You'll be photographed, fingerprinted, and held until you can see a magistrate. Depending on when we get you processed, that could be tonight or tomorrow morning. Diane's tears stop instantly. Tomorrow morning? I can't stay here overnight. I have a meeting. Officer Martinez stands back up. You should have thought about that before you refused to follow instructions and tried to force your way onto the aircraft. Diane's voice goes shrill again. This is insane. All of this over a bag? Officer Chen corrects her. No ma'am. All of this because you refused multiple lawful orders, disrupted airport operations, and physically resisted arrest. The bag was just the start. You escalated this at every opportunity. Diane looks around at the other passengers, many still recording. Her humiliation is complete. She's sitting on an airport floor in handcuffs, mascara running down her face, designer sunglasses askew on her head, surrounded by police officers and gawking travelers. This is not how she imagined her evening would go. Officer Martinez lifts her to her feet. Let's go. We're walking to the patrol vehicle. You can cooperate or we can carry you. Your choice. Diane chooses to walk, though she makes it as difficult as possible. She moves slowly, deliberately, forcing the officers to guide her step by step. She's still talking, but now it's a stream of consciousness mix of self-pity and indignation. I can't believe this is happening. I'm a good person. I volunteer. I donate to charity. I've never even had a speeding ticket. Officer Martinez, walking beside her, responds quietly. Then this would have been a great night to keep that record clean. All you had to do was check your bag and get on the plane. Diane stops walking. The officers wait. She looks at Officer Martinez with genuine confusion. Why are you doing this? Why couldn't you just let me board? It's such a simple question, and it reveals the depth of her misunderstanding. Officer Martinez takes a breath. Ma'am, laws and rules exist for everyone. When you refuse to follow them and then interfere with people who are trying to do their jobs, there are consequences. I didn't create this situation. You did. Every step of the way, you had a choice. And every step of the way, you chose escalation over compliance. Diane has no response. Perhaps for the first time tonight, she's realizing that her usual tactics, the demands, the threats, the tears, have zero power here. She's operating in a system where her perceived status means nothing, where money can't buy her way out, and where the rules actually apply to her. They reach the patrol vehicle, and Officer Martinez opens the rear door. Watch your head. He guides Diane into the back seat. She doesn't resist this time. She just slumps into the seat, defeated. The door closes with a heavy thunk. Officer Chen loads her luggage, that expensive bag she refused to check, into the trunk. The irony is not lost on anyone. She's not making her flight. The bag isn't going anywhere. And she's heading to jail instead of her meeting. Officer Martinez gets in the driver's seat and begins completing his paperwork. Diane, in the back seat, tries one more time. Officer, please, can't we work something out? I'm sorry. I'll apologize to the gate agent. I'll pay a fine. Just let me go. Officer Martinez looks at her in the rearview mirror. Ma'am, we're past that point. You were given multiple opportunities to resolve this peacefully. You chose not to take them. Now the legal process has to run its course. Diane leans her head back against the seat. The realization is finally sinking in. She's going to jail. She's going to miss her flight. She's going to miss her meeting. She's going to have a criminal record. And it's entirely her own fault. The drive to the airport police station is silent except for the occasional sniffle from the back seat. At the station, Diane is processed through the standard booking procedure. Her personal belongings are inventoried. Phone, wallet, jewelry, even her designer sunglasses are placed in a plastic bag and sealed. She's photographed from multiple angles. The mugshot captures a woman who looks nothing like the confident, entitled person who walked into the airport terminal hours earlier. Her hair is disheveled. Her makeup is smeared. Her expression is one of shell-shocked disbelief. She's fingerprinted, each finger pressed against the electronic scanner. When asked routine questions for the booking form, name, address, date of birth, emergency contact, she answers in a monotone. The fight has gone out of her completely. She's placed in a holding cell with 2 other women who were arrested for various offenses earlier in the evening. One is sleeping. The other is scrolling through charges on a tablet provided by the jail. Diane sits on the metal bench and stares at the wall. Hours pass. Eventually, a guard calls her name. She's being taken to see the magistrate. In the small videoconference room, a judge appears on screen. He reviews her charges and sets bond at $1,500. He also issues a no trespass order for the airline. Diane is banned from flying that carrier for 1 year pending resolution of her case. Diane barely reacts. She's beyond emotion at this point. The magistrate explains that she can post bond and be released, but she'll have to appear in court in 30 days to answer the charges. Diane nods mechanically. She's allowed to make a phone call. She calls her husband, waking him up at 3 in the morning. The conversation is brief and humiliating. "I'm in jail. I need you to post bond. I'll explain later." Her husband, groggy and confused, asks what happened. Diane's voice cracks. "I missed my flight. Just come get me, please." 2 hours later, her husband arrives at the jail with a bondsman. The paperwork is processed. Diane is released with a court date, a packet of legal documents, and a no trespass order that bans her from the airport property for the duration of her case. She walks out into the pre-dawn darkness, still wearing the same clothes from the night before, now wrinkled and disheveled. Her husband doesn't ask questions in the car. The silence is worse than any interrogation. When they get home, Diane goes straight to the bedroom and closes the door. She lies on the bed fully clothed and stares at the ceiling. Her phone, which her husband brought with him to the jail, has 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Her meeting was cancelled. Her colleagues are worried, and someone has posted video of her arrest to social media. It's already been viewed 50,000 times. The legal analysis of Diane's case reveals a pattern of escalating poor decisions compounded by a fundamental misunderstanding of her rights and the authority of law enforcement. The first charge, disorderly conduct, stems from her refusal to lower her voice, her aggressive behavior toward the gate agent, and her disruption of airport operations. In most jurisdictions, disorderly conduct is a misdemeanor punishable by fines up to $1,000 and up to 6 months in jail. The second charge, interference with airport operations, is more serious. Federal regulations and local statutes provide enhanced penalties for conduct that disrupts the safe and efficient operation of airports. This can be charged as a high misdemeanor or even a low-level felony depending on the severity. Diane's attempt to force her way onto the aircraft despite being denied boarding absolutely qualifies. She's looking at potential fines of $5,000 and up to 2 years in jail if convicted. The third charge, resisting arrest, was added when she physically pulled away from Officer Martinez and went limp to make the arrest more difficult. This is typically a misdemeanor but adds significant weight to her overall case and makes any plea negotiation more complicated. Combined, Diane is facing serious consequences that will impact her life for years. Beyond the criminal charges, Diane faces collateral consequences that may be even more damaging to her life and career. The no trespass order means she cannot fly her preferred airline, the one where she supposedly has elite status, for at least a year. Given that she claimed to fly weekly for business, this is a massive disruption. She'll have to book on other carriers, likely at higher cost and with less convenient schedules. If her employer discovers she was arrested for airport disruption, they may question her judgment and professionalism. If she works in a field requiring security clearances or background checks, this arrest could jeopardize her employment entirely. Her mugshot and the video of her arrest are now permanent fixtures of the internet. Future employers, romantic partners, even casual acquaintances can find them with a simple search of her name. The humiliation is not temporary. It's a digital scarlet letter she'll carry forever. If she has professional licenses, nursing, law, real estate, she may face disciplinary proceedings from her licensing board. An arrest for interfering with airport operations raises serious questions about judgment and character. She may also face civil liability. The airline could sue her for costs associated with the delay she caused. Other passengers whose flights were affected could theoretically join a class action. The financial and reputational damage could dwarf the criminal penalties. What drives someone like Diane to self-destruct over something as minor as checking a bag? The psychology reveals a worldview built on entitlement and a fundamental belief that rules apply to other people. Diane likely operates through life with the assumption that if she complains loudly enough, she'll get her way. This strategy has probably worked for her countless times. The restaurant that comps her meal after she berates the server. The retail store that accepts her return past the deadline after she demands to see a manager. The hotel that upgrades her room when she throws a fit at the front desk. Each small victory reinforces the behavior pattern. She learns that aggression yields results. But these victories are Pyrrhic. Service workers accommodate her because it's easier than fighting, not because she's right or because rules don't apply to her. They give in to avoid escalation, to protect their jobs, to maintain the peace. Diane mistakes this strategic retreat for actual power. She genuinely believes she has some special status that exempts her from normal constraints. When she encounters someone who doesn't retreat, someone with actual authority who cannot be intimidated or manipulated, her entire system collapses. She has no strategy for compliance because she's never had to develop one. The result is catastrophic escalation driven by ego and inability to accept that she's not special. Officer Martinez's handling of this situation represents a textbook example of progressive enforcement. He started with a simple request. "Step over here so we can talk." When that was refused, he issued a clear instruction with an explanation of authority. When that was refused, he provided a warning with specific consequences. When that was ignored, he followed through with arrest. At every stage, he gave Diane an off-ramp, an opportunity to de-escalate and resolve the situation peacefully. She rejected every single one. Some will argue that Officer Martinez could have been more patient, that he moved too quickly from verbal warnings to physical arrest. But the body camera footage, which will be reviewed by supervisors and potentially presented in court, shows an officer exercising remarkable restraint in the face of escalating hostility. He never raised his voice. He never used profanity. He never made personal attacks. He simply enforced the rules consistently and professionally. Could another officer have handled it differently? Certainly, but different doesn't necessarily mean better. Endless patience in the face of open defiance doesn't resolve situations. It prolongs them and potentially escalates danger. Officer Martinez recognized that Diane was not going to comply voluntarily and made the decision to enforce consequences. That's his job, and he did it correctly. The impact of this arrest extends beyond Diane to the broader public watching the interaction unfold. The other passengers at Gate 14 witnessed a woman who believed she was above the rules learn definitively that she was not. That's a powerful civics lesson. It reinforces the principle that laws apply equally to everyone regardless of perceived status or wealth or volume. The gate agent who was verbally abused by Diane received validation that her enforcement of policy was correct and that she would be protected when doing her job. That's crucial for maintaining order and morale among service workers who deal with difficult customers daily. The officers demonstrated that law enforcement will support operational staff when passengers become disruptive. That's essential for maintaining safety and efficiency in airports. And perhaps most importantly, Diane herself received a lesson that may change her behavior going forward. Or it may not. Some people are capable of self-reflection and growth after hitting rock bottom. Others simply become more careful about hiding their true nature. Time will tell which category Diane falls into. But regardless of whether she learns from this experience, the system worked. Rules were enforced, disruption was stopped, order was maintained, and justice, in the form of accountability for actions, was served. Diane will face multiple court appearances in the coming months. Her first will be an arraignment where she'll enter a plea. Her attorney, if she's smart enough to hire one, will likely advise her to plead not guilty initially while they negotiate with prosecutors for a plea deal. The prosecutor will review the evidence, which includes body camera footage, witness statements from the gate agent and other passengers, and the office's reports. The case is strong. Diane's behavior is documented from multiple angles. Her statements are recorded. Her physical resistance is visible. Unless she has an extraordinary defense that somehow justifies her actions, she will lose if she goes to trial. The smart move is to negotiate a plea to reduced charges. Perhaps disorderly conduct only, with the more serious charges dropped in exchange for a guilty plea. She'll likely be sentenced to probation, community service, mandatory anger management classes, and fines and court costs totaling several $1,000s. She'll have a criminal record, though as a first-time offender she may be eligible for expungement after successfully completing probation. If she refuses to plead and insists on a trial, she'll almost certainly be convicted on all counts and face harsher sentencing because she refused to accept responsibility. The judge will not be sympathetic to someone who put police officers and airline staff through unnecessary difficulty just to prove a point. The broader societal lesson here is about the social contract and the limits of individual autonomy in shared spaces. Diane genuinely believed that purchasing a ticket gave her ownership rights over the situation. But commercial aviation is a heavily regulated industry where safety and efficiency requirements override individual preferences. Baggage size limits exist for legitimate reasons. Overhead bin space is finite. Planes must depart on schedule. Gate agents have authority to enforce policies. And when passengers refuse to comply, law enforcement has authority to remove them. This isn't tyranny, it's the basic functioning of civil society. Your right to swing your fist ends where someone else's nose begins. Your right to travel on commercial aircraft ends when you disrupt operations and endanger others. Diane's refusal to accept this basic principle led directly to her arrest. She could have checked her bag, boarded her flight, made her meeting, and gone on with her life. Instead, she chose the hill of a carry-on bag size limit to die on. And die on it she did, metaphorically speaking. Her inflexibility, her ego, and her fundamental misunderstanding of authority transformed a minor inconvenience into a life-altering criminal case. That's the cost of believing you're above the rules. Eventually, you encounter someone who will prove you're not. In the end, Diane's greatest failure was her inability to de-escalate herself. At any point during that interaction, she could have taken a breath, recognized that she was wrong, apologized, and complied. Her pride wouldn't allow it. She'd committed so fully to her position that backing down felt like defeat. But sometimes the wisest move is strategic retreat. Sometimes you admit you're wrong, you accept the situation you cannot change, and you move forward with dignity and tact. Diane chose the opposite. She doubled down at every opportunity. She escalated when she should have de-escalated. She fought when she should have surrendered. And the result was total and complete destruction of her evening, her reputation, and possibly her career. Officer Martinez didn't do this to her. The gate agent didn't do this to her. She did this to herself through a series of choices that prioritized ego over outcome. So here's my question for you. At what point in this interaction should Diane have stopped? Was it when the gate agent first told her to check the bag? When Officer Martinez gave her the first warning? Or was she already too committed by then, too invested in being right to consider the possibility that she was wrong? And what does it say about our society that someone can reach middle age without ever learning that rules apply to them too? Let me know your thoughts in the comment. Do remember to hit the subscribe button, like and share this story, and I'll see you in the next one.